In this video, we're in the first Nations Cup round of the new FIA exhibition season. After a win last time out, I'm hoping for another good result here. I'm also excited to see how we get on in this one and see what kind of racing the new changes bring. Hey guys, Eerie is here and welcome along to another video. If this is your first time here and you like watching all sorts of sim racing related stuff, then subscribe now and click the bell icon so you get notified of every video I upload and you don't miss a thing. Jumping straight into quali here, you will see that I'm saving fuel once more. An absolute must if you want a good time and if I want a grid position anywhere near what I achieved last time out. So I came out as I said and fuel burned for 2 laps and then came in for some new boots. Then on my out lap, whilst I was fuel burning, I wanted to ensure, as I hadn't put in a banker yet, that I had enough time for 2 shots at this. Because if I only had one, experience tells me that the pressure would be too much quite frankly, and I'd bin it. So I timed it out well and crossed the line with about 2 minutes 14 seconds of the session remaining, meaning that as I wanted, unless I had an absolute disaster, I could go round again after this one if required. And I finished my supposed banker lap with a 1:56.7, which actually put me on provisional pole, giving me 18 seconds left to try once more. So I was able to push a little bit harder and improve by about 1.5 tenths, but was pipped to pole in this one by the Spaniard. But again, I was very happy with this one. A pole last time out, and once again I'm on the front row here. Here we are then lining up for the race. I'm here lined up in second in the post-it Merc, wearing number 11 in this one. Again, carrying on form from the last race in a much higher position than the game expects. So as we get the race underway here then, as per last time out, there is a long run down to the very tight first corner. I'm going to take a wide line when we get down to this first corner here, because I want to stay away from any dive bombers or late breakers, and the Spaniard clearly shares my concerns and puts his hazard on, but keep your eye on the radar there. The Brit ignores this and goes piling straight into turn number 1, and there is contact just off camera. Luckily he did not completely punt the leader, and another reason why I took the outside there is because I have the inside here coming into turns 2 and 3, but I go a little bit deep into this corner here, which is going to compromise my exit onto the short straight coming out of the Mercedes-Benz arena. So I'm going to be forced to position myself to the left to make sure that I have the inside for this corner here, keeping the Brit at bay and holding on to this second position. So trying to keep him at bay, we're going to try and settle down here into this one behind the leader. I'm going to try and stay close but not too close in order to initiate a battle. I want to sit behind him within that about 1.5 second slipstream window and save as much fuel as I can, whilst ideally pulling a gap to those behind so I can potentially challenge for the win later on in this much longer race. As this of course is the first of these longer races, and as fuel is required here, we cannot go to the end without refueling. So for those who have been hiding underneath a rock, GT Sport have increased the lengths of these races, well, in this season anyway, which means there's more time to calculate moves and more strategy is involved, which are both massive plus points in my view. Speaking of tyres here, in some events you have seen that the drivers get a penalty at the end of the race, and if you're not sure why, this is because they have not used all of the tyre compounds. So just like in the live events, in certain races you'll need to use all of the tyre compounds available, so hopefully gone are the days of boring fuel saving races, or if there are at least, it is elective and the driver has chosen to do so. But as I said earlier, I really like this move. Great job GT Sport. The only thing left for me outside of some settings that I change, like giving us all 3 compounds to use, soft, mediums and hards, and putting on full damage, is the issue I mentioned earlier that still remains unfortunately, the fuel issue. In quali there is still a massive advantage if you spend a good first chunk of your session burning fuel, which you would have seen me and others doing in multiple videos. It would be great if we could just choose the amount of fuel to start with, so we all didn't need to do this, as it's pretty boring, but I won't harp on about it. I'm going to concentrate on the positives, and the initial look is that these big, much longer races here are much improved. So good job, Gran Turismo and Polyphony. Rejoining the action here on lap 8, we are now on our in lap. We have just this lap fallen out of that 1.5 second window that I was talking about earlier, but that is only a small issue. We have pulled a really quite large gap to the pack behind now, which is exactly what we wanted, as now I don't have to worry or look in my mirrors and can concentrate solely on chasing the guy up ahead here, the Spaniard, for the win. So coming through the final chicane here, we are both going to come into the pits. So pulling over to the right here, you can see that he's actually saved 1% more fuel than us, but that's fine because I'm going to fuel one lap longer than it says I need to anyway, which is something that the long-term subscribers of the channel will know that I do regularly. Now the reason I do this is because although I will be a slight bit longer in the pits and come out a slight bit heavier, I have one less thing to worry about. I struggle enough, as you guys will know, keeping my cars on track anyway. I know my strengths and weaknesses, so I certainly know that I don't need to be adding fuel anxiety into the mix. And also, as you will see here, the car ahead has just short filled. I can tell this because we came out just under 4.5 seconds odd behind him, and when we came in we were only 2 seconds behind him, which will mean he will have the fuel anxiety now, and he can also not use full revs like us, and we can concentrate completely during the entirety of this second half of this race on hunting him down. And hunting him down is exactly what we're doing. So after the gap being 4.7 seconds at the start of the last lap coming into turn number 1, coming out of the final corner here and stamping on the loud pedal, we're going to cross the line to start lap number 9 with a gap of just 2.9 seconds. A huge 1.8 seconds taken out of the leader on the last lap alone, which is more than the extra time I spent in the pits fueling up. So I'm going to keep my head down here and try and get into that 1.5 second window again to try and challenge for the win. Coming around the final corner here to complete lap number 10, I definitely think our improved pace is clear as I put in another fastest lap of the race, making it 2 out of 2 as it currently stands. Another 0.8 of a second taken out of the leader. The gap is 2.1 seconds now. As we finish lap number 11 and move on to lap number 12, we've only got 4 to go now. Another 3 tenths have been taken out of the leader, leaving the gap at just 1.8 seconds now, and only a few tenths away from the slipstream that we want. Jumping forward to lap 13, just about the same, still 3 tenths off where we need to be, but only 3 laps to go now. And as we start lap number 14, the penultimate lap, we are just 1.6 seconds away. We're 1/10 away from where we need to be now. Scrubbing forward slightly, as we come through the Michelin and Warsteiner curbs, we are now within the slipstream. We're about 1.3 seconds back now, and just watch this gap here whittle away as we come down towards the final chicane. We're going to look for just about our braking point here, just before the 100, slam on our anchors and get it stopped just in time, and stay with him through this short burst up to the final corner and onto the start-finish straight for what will be the final time. Now, having a look at the gap here, it's about, well, it's under 1.2 now, so we're definitely in that slipstream, but as we come to turn number 1 for the final time, I'm going to let him right off the hook. I'm going to come in, I'm going to brake a little bit too late and ask a little bit too much of the tyres. The back end of the motor is going to swing round like a pendulum, and round I go. Luckily I get flicked off the barrier a little bit there, but it wasn't enough to save me, and then we're going to go down to 3rd place as we get overtaken by the sister Merc. But as my tyres were completely fried and completely ruined, I settled in for that 3rd place, kept my glass half full, and came across the line for my 2nd podium in 2 races. I've got to be honest, at the time I was a little annoyed, as I think is pretty much natural, but as I say, keeping my glass half full, for the 2nd race in a row I claimed the fastest lap of the race, and I've also collected 2 podiums out of 2. And this leaves my driver rating at a very healthy 42,027 points now, so within 8k of A+ now, so we're closing in on the prize and managing the transition to a different wheel and pedal set quite well in my opinion. It's going to be interesting to see how I get on in the next race, which is the Red Bull Ring, where I'll be experiencing rain on GT Sport for the very first time. So make sure if you want to see that you're subscribed and you have the notification bell turned on for that one. But until then guys, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.